Hey guys, what's up? Pepe Prawns here from the Quadcopter Review. Today I'm just kind of doing a fun little thing I like to do, and if you haven't seen my video before where I do this kind of thing, I like to go to Armattan Productions. Now, if you don't know what Armattan Productions is where Armattan will print frame designs by any designer who passes their criteria in order to have their designs up on their site. So you can actually go to the site and filter around and look for quads frames in the sizes you might like, 3-inch, 5-inch, whatever it may be. It's pretty simple. You just go into the main page, which is armattanproductions.com. You go right here where it says search by propeller size, and you pick whichever propeller size you're looking to do. It is, overseas there, so it does take a little bit of time for it to adjust and pull up the 3-inch, 2-inch, whatever you selected. But then you can go through and look at all the different frames in that size that have been contributed by designers, regular pilots, etc., and maybe find something interesting for yourself to build. I find it a lot of fun to find little interesting quads out there, especially if you're into the micros. You can go down in here and you can see some of these really interesting smaller ones. You can get yourself these toothpick style frames that have been here for probably a lot longer than the hype, guys. People have been doing that for a long time. It's nothing new. Nobody really should get credit for that, but you can look around and get those. I bought many different things here, as you've probably seen before when I did some of those. But today I am actually going to be featuring the Bando Racers site. So his store here, Carl, my boy there, Carl at Bando Racers, that's his little store name. He has a plethora of different designs, and the one I got this time is the Wemix kit. The Wemix, as you probably can tell from the name, is a small remix style frame. But actually, with this main plate here, Carl has got a bunch of different things going on with it, a bunch of different options you can do. It still is in a bit of a prototype stage. Right now, it's perfectly fine in the prototype stage that it's in. It's, for example, here it is. Everything fits, works great. It's not prototyped in a way that everything isn't fully functional as it is, but he's improving things as he goes for different versions. He's actually got the bottom now that he's working on where it's a lift hatch style, so you can just raise the top off. So really cool stuff. Really great designer Carl is. Also, through community here, he was the one that had the little bandito here. So if we go back to his store real quick, you might remember when I did the little bandito and I broke it, crashing it into my driveway extremely hard. Actually, that's when I started talking to Carl. Carl connected with me and said, hey, can you send me pics of what happened? I'd like to improve my frame. So I did that, and he and I have been, chit-chatting here and there ever since, and I got him that info so he could fix up the frame as well. So that was pretty cool. I thought too that somebody's actually paying attention. He is Johnny on the spot about his stuff, but there's a lot of other guys out there too. But like I said, we're highlighting the little bandito store and Carl in this particular video and looking at all the goodies that he has. So like I said, what we're looking at is this Wemix kit here, and as you can see, it is rated for the 3-inch propeller size. As you can see, we're using those bi-blades that everybody's all into right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I have them, but we'll see. In the kit, you're going to get that main plate, you're going to get a bottom plate, you're going to get 5mm screws, and you're going to get 8mm screws. What you're going to have to supply for yourself is the standoffs here, these M2 standoffs you're going to need. And technically, this guy should have 4. There should be 2 more right here. I only had 2 on hand, but the frame doesn't seem to need it. It's holding just fine, so I'm going to go without them in this particular case. But he's designed it for those 4 standoffs, and there's probably some balance involved there that would be important for me to get those in. I have one other one of these. If I can find 2, I'll get it in there. They go right here. The other thing you'll need is these TPU printed pieces. You have the bottom and the camera holder is what it's actually called, a camera holder. And there's another piece that I have misplaced. Out here it is. You have the battery mount too, and those are on Thingiverse out printed. Now, if you don't have a printer and you can't get these parts, don't forget I have Pandemic FPV, my website that you can go to, and simply go to pandemicfpv.com. You want to go up here to the top to custom quote. Just write in here, put your name, all this stuff. This is obviously where we would turn the quote into me being able to send it to you. We're going to put in here the parts. You don't actually need the Thingiverse links for the Wemix. Just put Wemix parts, and I will get back with you on getting those to you. Mostly because I really can only print and send to the US because the cost is just too much to try to send it overseas. Well, US and Canada I can ship to, no problem. And these are Carl's parts, so I do not charge any kind of premium or set price for these parts. What I will charge you is the amount of materials we use to print these parts, and then you can tip me if you like for doing that favor. So I can do any of these custom prints on anything, as you can see here. You can get any parts you need from me on the site. And once again, if I did not design the part, I can only legally charge you for materials and say tip me if you'd like to, and we just do that through PayPal. I do have my own things here that I have designed in the shop if you should happen to need mostly camera mounts. They're pretty easy to design. I don't have a lot of time on my hands, but when I do design camera mounts, I put them up. So, all that being said, here's our Wemix all set up, ready to go. We'll try to get those 2 standoffs in. Now, the cool part about this guy is it will take a 20 or 16, but it's best and set up to handle a 16 by 16, so you could easily go with the Success. Now, the Success is a 4S capable 16 by 16 board. Will fit in here nicely. I've already checked it out. It's gonna fit in here just fine, as you can see, and this version here already has the VTX in it as well, so we're not gonna have to do anything but add a little receiver, your XM Plus, your XM if you're FR Sky like I am. That's all you're gonna need to add. It also is capable of handling your Whoop style boards if you want to use one of those as well. He's flying 1103 motors. Kind of up to you, obviously, where you want to go with that, but it easily can handle some 1105 motors like I got in here. It can handle your 1103s. I got some 1104s here. Now I'm showing you these here for a very specific reason. If you're going to use some of these motors that come with small wires, so these 1104s that I got for next to nothing, short wires, the 1105 beta FPV motors, or these are 1103 beta FPV motors, short wires, because obviously they have a JST on them to use with the Whoop board. And anything else of that caliber, I also have some AMAX ones that I believe these wires are going to be long enough. But you have to consider that you're going to be taking this motor here and be coming under, coming down, and trying to get to your board. So that distance there is you know, a pretty decent one. So, you know, you're going to have a pretty decent length of wire, and some of these smaller motors simply just do not come with that much wire on them. So if you're going to use those shorter motors that I'm talking about, let's say like these 1103s with the shorter wires on it, right, that obviously aren't going to make it, don't forget that you can go out to like Taco RC and get yourself some race wire, and you can get FPV, few other places, but you could get some race wire, which is basically an extension piece that goes on here with 3 solders and 3 solder joints here, and it comes usually with wire on one side, and you can extend your motor wire via that underneath the bottom side. So race wire, I kind of forgot that stuff existed until Carl told me about that tonight, so I have some on the way. In my case, I actually found, after talking to Carl, I actually found some 3BR motors I have that have super long wires on them. So if you're looking for a motor with a super long wire, for example, it is a 1105 motor, 3BR. Those motors come with extremely long wire that is going to get us from point A to point B, no problem. That's what I'm going to go with. So we're going to build this out. I don't know exactly what other parts I'm going to use, if I'm going to use the Success or if I'm going to use one of my other, like a Happy Model F4 Pro V2, one of those things. Been having problems with those like everyone has. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with this completely. I know I'll use the XM, but motor combo, blah. Not sure where I'm going there yet. I will let you know in the next segment when I come back. We'll have it done, and we'll have some flight footage in that part when I talk about what I used and how she's performing. But once again, this is Bando Racers at Armattan Productions, and make sure you check that out. Links always below. Links to all the parts I use, links to this frame, and links to Armattan Productions, so you can check that out. So let's get to building this guy, and we'll be back in a second. So let's get to building this little guy out, and we'll be back in just a second, and I'll show you what we ended up with and talk about that. Okay guys, here it is all done. What I ended up using inside of here is the TNF4 board. That's, I think, the V2 board. It's a newer one, and it is, I think, 5 amp per, and it's a 2S rated little stack that I've got. They were fairly cheap. I think they're like $30. Comes with the JST and the actually I added that XT30 with the capacitor on it. I used those 3BR motors I was talking about. I ended up using a TBS Nano for my VTX and an XM receiver, so not the XM Plus but the XM. I ended up building this little holder here in the back, running off the standoffs to hold a Nano and an XM if you should happen to use. Now that's the original Nano, not the V2 Nano. So if you end up needing that little holder, if you're going to use the same setup, I can print that for you. Again, check out Pandemic FPV. I used the Beta FPV EOS 2 camera. I like it. For some reason, I find it better than the Caddx EOS 2, sorry. I ended up going with 2.5-inch gym fans. I tried the little bi-blades in 3-inch, and my issue has always been with those is that they are press-on instead of using bolts like these do. So when you use these little guys, they have a tendency to just fly right off the motors in crashes and stuff like that. And I did fly them. I was a little faster using these. I wouldn't say considerably much, but just the pain of having to find where they've flown off if you crash, for me, just it really isn't worth it on these on 1105s. So I just went with the 2.5s that I could bolt down. And as you can see, a little muddy. It's been very, very wet here. It is hard to get a lot of flights in right now. I didn't get as many flights in as I'd like on this, so my footage isn't the best. But I'll have links in the description for that, so you can check out some of his videos with much better flying footage than I got in. But great performer, does really well, as you can see in the footage. My PIDs were a little aggressive, so there was a lot of over flipping going on for me, but I think it's a really great frame. I crashed it several times on the driveway. At the end, you'll see me just ditch it in the mud from pretty high up there. that was straight to the ground, bent the prop right over, but nothing at all as far as any kind of frame damage and stuff. So really happy with this one. Once again, I do enjoy going and picking up these kinds of frames and building them out and talking with the designers about their frames and what they've got coming up new and those kinds of things. So it's just a different little way to look at the hobby instead of, you know, just going straight with the big boys and their frames. You can always go with this, but as you can see, lots of dirt coming out of it, but I just cannot get past all this rain. Just every single day it's raining. So really great. I hope to fly it more and get it on my personal channel, but I have a hard time getting a lot of time from doing reviews and getting stuff for my personal channel. But as always, guys, again, remember my boy Carl over at Bando Racers at Armattan Productions. If you're interested in checking out some of his frames, he's got all the way up to 5-inch, so lots of cool stuff there and lots of other cool stuff at Armattan. So as always, guys, thanks for stopping by. Look at the descriptions below, in the description below for links, and as always, guys, happy flying. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out the Quadcopter review. If you want to see more interesting reviews on FPV related stuff, take a look up here in the old right corner right there. You'll find links to all the rest of my reviews. If you want to get in on some of the best giveaways on YouTube, look over here. Don't forget to subscribe right here on my chin. And if you want to check out my flying only videos separated from the review channel, check that out right here. Thanks for coming. Don't forget to subscribe, and happy flying.